What's with the delay? Live from a pile of puppies and rainbows. It's an all-new terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants. What kind of a pile? Do you think the puppies are on the bottom or the rainbows are on the bottom? How do we build that pile?
Ooh, I hope the rainbows are on the bottom because that sounds cozy.
Joined by analyst hole Matt Moscardi. Wow, you already heard him on today's even happier meal called January 28th, 2025. A mega good game. Mega massive good game. We haven't done the good game so many months, so it's back with a force.
Ooh, there's better be a lot of good things. We got months.
I tried my best. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlowAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power connections and performance for free. Board power, connections, and performance for free. I like lots of other stuff, but those are some of the things.
What's not to like about FreeFlowAnalytics.com? What's not to like about it?
I use it.
It's fabulous.
I use it regularly. Yeah. So
I find it fabulous.
Here's how the good game works. We've had some feedback recently, Matt. Some of it is very dead on. Some feedback was suggesting that maybe I'm sinking into a morass of depression, which is possible. So I'm going to counter that feedback by bringing out the good game. And here's what the good game is. I go back into the headlines that usually make me horribly depressed, and I look for silver linings. I look for shiny baubles, for headlines that on their appearance seem good, like we're making progress, like we're going in the right direction, like, this is how things should be.
Seems
so
good.
That's what I do. Yeah, so I read the headline.
Good. Got it.
And then Matt, our pundit extraordinaire, Matt's really our Vivek Ramaswamy. That's who Matt is. He is our supreme blowhard, and he actually tells me on a scale of 0 to 10 or whatever if it's actually good. Okay? That's how this game works.
All right. So I'm the cynic, and you're trying to find optimism. That's the way this works.
Okay, fine. If that's how you want to say it. You ready? I got a lot, so we're going to go. We're just going to kind of go quickly, I suppose. Or
yeah, let's
pretend to go quickly. To help my feeble brain. The first one it's in a category all by itself, and this is from news that came out just yesterday, based on headlines that everyone's already reading, Matt, and that you posted on our servers, so it's clearly something that you're thinking about. So I was wondering, we talk all the time about AI, OpenAI, and Grok, and Alphabet, all these things. So how about this happening just yesterday? The headline is Sputnik Moment, $1 trillion wiped off U.S. stocks after Chinese firm unveils AI chatbot. I think it's called Deepseek. So Matt,
Deepseek.
Could this be a method of fighting back against our emperors of AI? All these corporations that are controlled by single individual gentlemen.
Honestly, I love this. I love it.
This is good. Oh, okay.
I love it. I love it because, well, first of all, everyone have been talking about how AI was a bubble, like the investment in AI was a bubble. We found when we went out as Free Float to go get investor dollars that if we didn't say the words AI, they wouldn't even talk to you, right? Like, because
or generative AI, not bubble though. You can't say
literally
bubble.
Everyone said, "Are you using AI? Are you developing AI?" Like that's all anybody wanted to fund. So they overfunded all of it. They spent billions and trillions of dollars, to say AI on everything, and then China, for a hedge fund in China, came up with AI that costs like a fraction of the amount, uses like a fraction of the power, and they open sourced it. And now, like everyone's sitting around being like, "What do we pay for?" And that's what the loss is yesterday. Everything's back up today, but that's what the drops.
Really? Is it? It's back up to.
No, it hasn't made it all back yet. But Nvidia's was up just a minute ago. It was up 5.5% on the day. And
what's the logic behind that?
Because like everything, these are human markets, right? Like it's a narrative. So
sure.
That's
the part of it I hate the most.
People got terrified yesterday, sold everything, and now they're like, well, it's not that bad, and then they're rebuying stuff. So. So yeah, I love it. What the best part about it is we now have to choose between two separate entities again. We had just did this in social media where we're banning TikTok but embracing Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
Now we're doing it with AI where our choices are Sam Altman and Elon Musk or China. And it's
at the same time, we're still forcing the sale of TikTok. It's still being forced. In fact, I heard just today that Microsoft might be one of the entities that might buy TikTok.
At least they're an adult.
I suppose. But I'm just saying, like, why are we ripping things away from the Chinese in that case, but not in this case? The whole thing the Cold War with China makes no sense to me other than the fact that it's a Cold War used to deceive and create more capital.
I just love any time. This is like a tiny Chinese outfit. I love any time you can rip the narrative away from these beta middle school manflakes, these children. You can rip the narrative away from them.
Are the most important people in our globe because they are the wealthiest people in our globe, right?
I just saw 3 headlines that were like Visa's now working with Musk and like Boeing's working with Musk. And it's like they're middle schoolers. Just
scientists, more important than people that run colleges and surgeons and whatever you want to say. They're more important.
We're pausing federal funding of every grant of a scientist on Earth. And meanwhile, the middle schoolers are losing their shit because someone else thought of something they didn't. I love it. I love it. It's a 10. It's a 10. Give it a 10,
wow.
Baby.
Okay. All right. I wasn't expecting that, but I'll happily take it. All right. That's the fun is over. Let's get the next category, anger and fighting back. Okay, anger and fighting back. So these are all what appear to be good ways to fight back against some of the problems that we outline consistently in our shows. How about this first one? Walmart is facing backlash from investors after cutting DEI programs. Matt, is this a good way to if you're an investor or maybe even a consumer in a company? Is this what you do if you're angry about DEI programs being cut?
Nothing's as effective as writing a sternly worded letter to somebody. That's what I like to think.
Unfortunately, that's what I was thinking when I opened this article on Fast Company. But yeah,
the signatories of the letter are like nuns, right? Like
I know.
So we're not
these people that society used to respect.
These aren't the people. They're not going to.
Now we respect Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm.
Look, the fact is, even writing it to when they write the letter, right? Like they write it to the CEO, Doug McMillon. That's who the letter addressed.
Doug McMillon, the guy who used to be the chair of the Business Roundtable at a time the Business Roundtable was its most stakeholder friendly. It was really leaning into this idea of stakeholder capitalism.
Yeah. How a lot changes in like 2 years, but they
Should it?
They write it to Doug McMillon, not the Waltons, right? Like this is a dual class family run company.
True.
It's fake
that's
public.
True. Yeah. In fact, you're right. The Waltons could reverse this in a heartbeat. Right.
The Waltons sneezed, and they could change everything at Walmart.
They have the voting power. They have board members. They have pretty much everything.
So this one to me is like cute, but it's literally like begging Mark Zuckerberg to not give children body dysmorphia. What are you doing? He just picked Dana White to put on his board. Come on. So I'm going to give it a 5. It's the right. Their heart's in the right place.
Speaking of Dana White, I was thinking yesterday that so Deepseek comes out, the stock market goes down for AI companies, and then within the day, there's already a cyber attack on Deepseek. I was thinking maybe that's why Mark Zuckerberg brought Dana White onto the board to start, fights like middle school playground fights, right?
Yeah, they could do maybe they can do like a jump off the ropes onto Deepseek. That's the way that's going to work.
All right, the next headline in anger and fighting back, a lawyer says he dropped Meta as a client after what he called a descent into toxic masculinity and neo-Nazi madness by Zuckerberg's company. Is that a good way to fight back? Just drop him as a client?
Well,
right?
Look,
is that more effective?
The right way to fight back is for everyone to cancel Facebook, like and Instagram and WhatsApp.
Yes,
like,
and to repeat. And to say what this lawyer said, right? When you say it out loud, it is pretty shocking. What he calls descent into toxic masculinity and neo-Nazi madness. That's some strong words. They used to be, at least in our culture.
It is strong. I would say that this guy is like just a guy. Like he's got to be one of 93 lawyers. Him by himself is not the effect. Actually. What I've been trying to convince like my wife of, who is on Instagram, she uses Instagram, is every minute you spend on this, you are bolstering like the masculine beta Zuck, right? Like middle school Zuck. You're making it easier for him to be a man flake and like kiss up to Trump. So
since this is the good game, and we're I'm on a positive high right now. Here I actually figured out a solution to this. What if we force all companies that have a controlled owner like Zuckerberg's Meta Platforms? What if we just force them to call all their products by Zuckerberg's name? So it wasn't Instagram; it was Zuckerberggram.
Yeah,
so then people really are like, wait, I'm sharing pictures. My daughter is sharing pictures of herself at the beach, like in her bikini, to Zuckerberggram. Like, what? Why am I letting her do this? Like, what's happening here?
Every time you see a picture of like a young girl on Instagram, you should think,
which is Instagram, I feel,
which is basically most of it. But you should think of Mark Zuckerberg in that black T-shirt with the gold chain on,
the photo,
looking at it with you. And how creepy is that?
Owning the metadata, owning everything, the location where the picture was taken, everything.
And then trying to sell that girl smaller bikinis, right? Like everything about it is gross.
So what's your score about this lawyer dropping Meta?
This to me is the same as writing a letter to Walmart.
Oh, really?
Heart's in the right place.
Well, what can he do? I mean, he did it, but he did what he needed to do. I honor this guy.
I'll give him a 6.
Your score.
I'll give him a 6.
All right. Okay, fine. I talked you into it. I wind you into it. Anger and fighting back. BMW. Okay, forget about the. I know the tone of the headline is one thing, but I'm really looking at BMW's action. The headline says BMW trolled after announcing it's no longer posting on X and becoming more woke. But Matt, I'm asking you. What about BMW saying they're no longer posting on X? Is that a great way to fight back? Fight back Elon Musk? What do you think about that?
Who trolled them? Elon trolled them?
Well, the anti-woke Rogan Musk brigade. I don't know. All the man flakes, as you call them.
Mostly what I want to know is why did it take so fucking long? What were you doing?
Yeah, well, they had to wait for at least 2 Nazi salutes and his outright support for the neo-Nazi party and, of all countries, Germany.
Who Musk just said to the neo-Nazi party that focused too much on the past and has been talking about effectively espousing all of the future Nazi propaganda. Is there a threshold where companies are like, I could deal with the one Nazi salute, but the second one has really put me over the top. Matt, I'm out now.
I promised myself I was not going to devolve into like a ranty, angry mess today, so I won't do it. But I will say this. We have given everyone probably 17,000 very sound either economic or ESG reasons, whatever you want to call them, to get to dump Musk. But it's actually gotten to the point where he had to do the Nazi salute and support neo-Nazi parties in Germany. I mean, even we couldn't have predicted that it was getting to get to this point. But what do you think about this? BMW dropping X.
I wonder what took so long. This seems like reversing stupidity, which was a very old rule of the good game, which is if you did something stupid for a long time and then did stop doing the stupid thing, then you don't get credit for not doing the stupid thing anymore. So I'm going to give this a 3.
Oh, All right, let's stay in our anger and fighting back category. We got some more headlines in this one. How about this one? Speaking of Elon Musk, nearly a third of Elon Musk's EV-loving Dutch customers may sell their Teslas. Quote, there's been a debate in the Netherlands around Tesla shame, end quote.
Don't
Tesla
have shame.
I like that.
Don't have shame. It's not your fault.
Just sell it.
Just sell it. Just get rid.
Well, it
just
depends
get
on
rid
when.
of it.
Depends on when you bought your Tesla, I suppose. But yeah, just get rid of
But
it. I like it. You know what? The Dutch. I know the Dutch are listening. They love us.
Don't they have options?
There are a lot of. I was going to say there are other electric vehicles other than Teslas. I know it's kind of mind blowing, the thought.
I mean, like, I know Tesla's a pretty car, but you can get in the Netherlands. I think you can get some Chinese ones
Matt,
that are actually good.
They all
too.
look alike. All these cars look basically alike.
Just get different ones. Just trade them in.
What's your score about this one?
That's good. I don't know how to rate how good a debate about shame is. I don't know how to rate that.
Yeah.
When they sell their Teslas, it'll be fabulous. But that they're debating it, I'm going to give it a 5.
Just leave them at the bottom of the canal there in Amsterdam.
There's plenty of room.
Let's stay with Elon Musk hate. Here's the headline. I drive a Cybertruck, and I'm sick of people flipping me off. I wish they understood how helpful this car is for me. What do you think about the gesture of flipping off the Cybertruck? Is that an appropriate way of fighting back?
Isn't it fabulous?
It might be,
Isn't
actually.
That great?
It actually might be. Yeah. This is the
there
version
no
we always talk
more-
about. Yeah, I was going to say, we always talk about how investors can react, how consumers can react, but we never thought about this. The general public can react by just flipping things off.
Yeah. Do you really want to drive your Cybertruck around town where everywhere you go, people flip you off?
I could never.
I think it's awesome. There's a Cybertruck in our town that drives around, and it's so stupid because the Cybertruck doesn't fit in their garage because they made it so wide. So it's always out. And every time I see it, it's like everyone I'm with, it doesn't matter if I'm with like my wife, my kids, like friends, whatever. They all say the same thing. They're like, oh my God, it's so hideous and it's so stupid. And and it's basically like flipping it off. I love it. I'm giving it a 9.
It's like the Hummer back in the days, except it's a Nazi Hummer, so it's even worse.
Yeah. Nazi Hummer.
2 more in anger and fighting back. Here's a headline. Misogynistic taunts cost Philadelphia Eagles fan his job at DEI firm. So what do you think about that? The DEI firm, one of their employees was yelling, I think the C word at a woman at a football game over and over and over. So the DEI firm fired the dude. What do you think about that? Is that a good way of fighting back? Just firing people?
I mean, you work at a firm that deals with gender
This is the worst.
diversity as a core piece of what it does, and you're using this. And the guy was like just aggressively using the C word at a woman who's in front of him, not even looking at him, right? Like it was.
Football's
the video is
important,
very
Matt.
bizarre.
Games with balls are very important.
So I think you'd fire him regardless of if it was a DEI firm or not. Actually, I have a bigger problem with the headline pointing out that it was a DEI firm. Like how about man says C word gets fired, right? Like that would be enough.
It.
Let
me ask you this.
I'm going to give it a 7 because he definitely should get fired.
Let me ask you this: is misogynistic taunts at football games, is that the new MAGA hat?
Well, look, it's hard to really talk much about misogynistic taunts. When you go to Europe, every single football match is just full of racism and misogyny, right?
Misogynism. Yeah, it's true.
It's pretty horrible.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that gathering large groups of middle school maturity men in one place, this is what happens.
I will say this. I am lucky enough to travel occasionally, and when I'm in other countries and people start to berate me for my country about our racism or misogyny, I do have to roll my eyes a bit as I begin to explain their country's history of racism and misogyny. But
Yeah,
so
that's
I wish it was. Look, I wish it was only us. But yeah, you're right to point that out. All right, let's one more in the anger and fighting back category. Biden, former President Biden, as he's stepping down, warns that an oligarchy is forming that threatens U.S. democracy. He's talking about the tech bros. So what do you think about it? Is that a good way of fighting back? Warning people?
Warning people? Like,
I mean, unfortunately for dear old Joe Biden, everybody hates him. So
nobody's listening.
His warning is going to affect like 4 people, but I respect him and I respect the warning. But what do you think?
Look, we can't. We had a stronger economy in the U.S. now than we've had in 4 years. There's a lot of things that are actually really good. Then nothing's perfect, but there's a lot of things that
Except
are really
for the price
good.
of cereal.
Except that everybody hates the guy who
nobody
made it
needs.
really good. Like that's really
It's mostly sugary. Yeah.
that's really what happened. So I don't know. Warning about like like if you take the cereal analogy, like nobody likes the nutrition facts that say this will give you
I do.
diabetes, right? Like nobody likes that. So
Only me.
he's right. He's late in being right. It's already happened. So I don't know. How do I give 5? I have 5. It's a 5.
Still feels like
You love this
historically. Well, no, it's not that I love it. It just feels historically important. Look, I'm just glad that he's putting a name on something. And look, what else can he do? I mean, I know. Okay, yes, he could have had actually policies over the last 4 years that prevented this, dismantled companies that list in the U.S. that have like the fake public companies. I mean, that's something that we talk about all the time. Fake public companies are really the problem here. I think we can agree. Without checks and balances, without counterbalances, this is what people are upset about Trump for: is that he has no counterbalance. There's no checks or balances. And this is what we are upset about the Zuckerbergs and the open AIs. So look, at least he named a thing and people can debate it if they want. So, okay, let's move on to old-fashioned ESG category. These are the things that the very nerdy
ESG. Ooh.
Yeah, very nerdy ESG headlines. Feel free to go as fast or as slow as you want on these. But I'll start with this one. Record number of funds drop ESG labels ahead of new EU rules.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I love weeding out frauds. I mean, look,
Yeah.
the rules are stupid. The rules are like they're really badly written. They're highly prescriptive. But the fact is, the market was also full of frauds, and we knew that. We worked at MSCI for 10 years. Like together, we worked there for 5.
How dare you.
Right? And we knew half the people that were making ESG funds were just full of shit. They literally,
Well, that's how we started our shows. Is actually we were attacking ESG from that perspective, which is don't greenwash people.
Exactly. We knew that
Now
ESG,
people are fighting them from a different reason.
Our original rants were ESG is just data. It's not solving the world's problems. So don't buy a fund that calls itself like the ESG solution fund because that's not a thing, right? Like it's like the Dewey Decimal System solves reading. It doesn't. It just organizes shit.
Well,
So
I have a paper that proves it does. Yeah.
So like now though, they write all these rules in Europe that are like hugely bureaucratic, highly prescriptive, and very difficult to parse. The rules were then dumb, and then it's like, well, now you're doing it the wrong way because it is just data. So it's like you're not solving sustainability, you're solving a data problem. And now that funds are dropping the label, you actually can see the fraud. So at the end, it kind of works. I kind of like it. I'm okay with it. I'm going to give it a 7.
Right.
I like that. I like frauds dropping like flies.
Here's what we haven't talked about this entity in a while. The Science Based Targets Initiative, SBTI, passes 10,000 companies committing to science-based climate targets. You like that? You like that threshold? 10,000 companies committing to science-based climate targets.
I like it if we weren't already fucked with the climate. Aren't we already dead?
Well, that's your perspective. But we got to keep fighting.
That's the perspective of science.
This is the good game. This is the good game. Yeah.
Look,
I won't be dragged into your morass.
I'm not going to go down the very deep rabbit hole. We've spent a lot of time talking about SBTI.
If you care, we've done some past shows on this. If you reach out to us, we'll tell you which date to download. Although just download them all anyway. Just make
download them all.
better.
But like we've talked about like the critics of SBTI and how they're doing it wrong. Like one of the prominent critics was used in Republican hearings against SBTI. Right. So meanwhile, they were trying to like make SBTI stronger.
Bill Bowie, was that his name? Bill Bowie?
Yeah, Bill Bowie. Who I talked to, he's got a method I don't agree with, but I did talk to him. But the fact that 10,000 companies are looking for some sort of guidance to do a thing, that's a sign of something good. I guess having the hottest year on record, maybe that's probably waking them up. I'll give it a 6.
Numbers going up?
I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, the number's rising at least.
I'll give it a 6.
This one is a weird one. Billionaire Michael Bloomberg to fund UN climate change body after U.S. withdrawal. So Trump pulled out and Bloomberg's going to pay that. I think it's like a $20 million. Is it $20 million? It's in the millions.
Hate this.
Okay.
I hate it.
Go ahead.
It's 0.
Go ahead. Tell me why.
It's like a hard 0.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say that because I think a lot of people would have read this headline, interpreted this headline as being good. So go ahead.
We're begging our billionaires to bail us out of stupidity, right? Like, isn't the reason Trump gets elected?
Yeah.
Elites swoop in and do these policy things that, they don't understand, they don't necessarily want, they don't know what's going on. And it's $20 million. You said it's $20 million. $20 million? I
think so.
In a country, $20 million is what it costs to get like a speed bump installed. That's nothing. Like, it's so stupid that as to be nothing, but he gets the headline.
He gets the headline. Absolutely.
And it's a billionaire who gets to take credit for like saving the U.S., climate change body after, whatever. I fucking hate it. I don't want to ask billionaires for shit. We shouldn't be roaming around looking for a billionaire to fund us. That's a problem with Free Float. We went around looking for billionaires to fund us, like millionaires and billionaires. And guess how many there are? 0, because nobody wants to hold anyone accountable. Not their friends. No, they don't want their friends held accountable. No. I don't want to beg for money. I don't want to beg a billionaire for money. We should do it because it's right and smart, and we should do it. I don't want to beg a billionaire. I'm giving it a 0.
All right. Next headline. Majority of companies leading on emissions reductions have tied executive pay to ESG aims.
Ooh.
You care about that one?
This one's surprising. That surprises me.
Why is it surprising? Why?
Because every time we look at the executive pay, how it's actually put together, we see that like the percentage of executive pay tied to these things is like infinitesimally small. It's like,
well, sure, but they're talking about. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but maybe there aren't a lot of companies leading on emissions reductions in the first place.
That's more cynical than what I'm saying.
I'm trying to wring the positive out of this somehow.
Well, the positive is that where there are emissions reductions, executive pay is also tied to the goals in some small, often infinitesimal amount. It means even the tiniest amount. What it suggests is there's some sort of human behavior that says if you set a goal, no matter how small or meaningless that goal is, these type of people do not like to not achieve goals, right? Like they want to achieve the goals, no matter how small. They set it.
Sure.
It's in their pay. They're going to go after it. That's good. That means that could work as an incentive, right? I like it. That's an 8 for me.
Wow. I got one more in this category. Old-fashioned ESG headlines. The headline is, this is a quote from the boss. It just says the boss of Emirates. I don't know if it's the CEO or the chair, but the boss of Emirates says Boeing should treat workers better to recover from its mess. How about that perspective? Saying it out loud too, calling out Boeing for mistreating its workers as the issue.
Emirates is where? Dubai?
I believe so. We don't cover Emirates very often on this show.
Is that where the World Cup was?
Or
2 years ago?
Isn't it going to be? No, I thought the World Cup was in. No, actually, I don't recall.
It just
It's gonna be in LA next. Yeah.
It seems like a place where workers' rights don't exist. Telling a U.S. company who sucks at workers' rights to be better at treating their workers.
Well, we don't have any evidence that workers' rights don't exist at Emirates, but I see what you're saying. The context of where Emirates operates is not very
That's what I mean.
worker friendly.
It's a 5. I don't.
Okay.
Like it's also stating
All right, let's
the
move on.
obvious.
I got a bunch in this next category called fines and lawsuits and settlements and regulations, all that fun stuff.
I already hate it.
I know, it's kind of a boring category. Let's start with your old favorite. One of your favorite companies is Vanguard because they don't do a thing about anything. They don't have an opinion about anything other than pro management. Here's a headline. Vanguard will pay $106 million over misleading statements about retirement funds. Matt, this is a headline that you pointed out to me that they dumped at like midnight last Friday. They just kind of snuck it in. They just kind of, whoops.
Yeah, I can't. Remind me what the misleading statements actually were. What were the statements that they made?
I
think it was like what was taxable, like what in the funds was taxable, and what wasn't.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you lied about what was taxable, could we call every lie misleading now?
I think so.
Right, like because you disclose like this is a tax efficient fund, and then it's not, and then you get fined by the SEC and you pay $100 million for it. It's not misleading.
Yeah,
it's
look,
a lie, right?
The problem with all of these stories, all these headlines that we cover in this vein, are that the companies. They never admit wrongdoing. They never admit guilt. They're always settling. They're never even taking the penalty that the government wants to levy. They're always, choosing something in the middle that they don't care about. So yeah,
this is fine. It's like they stink. So I'll give it a 6. At least they got fined. Something.
Tennessee drops Blackrock ESG suit after asset manager agrees concessions. What do you think about that? Is this good?
So, I don't understand why you chose this one.
Well, they're dropping the suit. That's why I chose it.
This is like the worst entry in the good game ever.
Sometimes I wedge things in because the people that still, the audience that still stays with us, maybe they just want to hear your perspective on BlackRock's fighting ESG suits across the country. I don't know. I'm trying to create content here, Matt.
Well, this content sucks.
Okay, so you can feel free to score it quickly and move on.
Well, I read the suit. And what BlackRock agreed to do, 90% of it they already do. It's like some of the things are like so dumb as to be like, did Tennessee actually look at anything BlackRock says and does? Because they said BlackRock needs to disclose their proxy votes, around environmental and social issues with a reason. They already do that. They do that every time they vote against management. They write down the reason. And it's I've seen it for years, for literally years. It's been there.
So
right?
why is Tennessee agreeing to drop the suit then?
Well, they're agreeing to drop the suit because it's a PR stunt. They weren't going to win the suit.
Oh, it's a win for them.
It's a huge. It looks like a win for them.
Looks like a win.
The catch with this, the win part, is this is where the conservative talking points become snowflake nanny state, because in the agreement, they mandate that BlackRock cannot, if you're talking to someone in Tennessee, you have to use the words financially material. You can't not say that. Mm-hmm. So now they're like dictating what BlackRock can and can't say to someone in Tennessee.
This is the irony of our new age, right? All the people on the right, all the Republican types are now doing the very opposite that they used to do, which is, yes, a nanny state, telling corporations what to do, can't buy a BMW because they don't want to advertise on X. Whatever it is, it is a strange new world order. I'll tell you that.
Well,
much.
here's the insane part. That when you read the suit, you realize like who the AG in Tennessee that signed this off. So in the suit, they say anytime BlackRock wants to vote against management on an environmental or social, with an environmental or social reason of any kind, they have to
rare in the first place. Yeah,
they got to document it and they got to give the reason, and it's got to be on their website and all this kind of stuff. They also are subject to an audit in which the AG of Tennessee will pick 25 companies and BlackRock will choose 25 companies. Companies need to come from a list of the worst climate offenders that BlackRock maintains. Like the companies, well, I should say the companies that contribute 90% of corporate emissions, right? They're going to choose from that list anytime BlackRock goes against management. So the incentive for BlackRock is not to go against management because then they have to do a lot of record keeping. But let's say they do.
Which is rare.
Which is rare to begin with. The AG can audit that, and then they can argue about whether or not that was merited.
The AG,
right?
who has no understanding of this subject matter in the first place. Yeah.
The AG is a lawyer. He's a lifelong. He's 0 minutes in finance, right? Like he's a lifelong
ESG.
lawyer. Here's what the AG filed as a lawsuit in 2023. He filed a lawsuit against 21 manufacturers who make products that use PFAS for environmental and health concerns. Among them is the company 3M, which is on the BlackRock list. So if BlackRock wants to vote for a shareholder proposal looking for a report on PFAS, they would have to document it. It could be subject to an audit by the Tennessee AG, who sued them, but could also sue BlackRock for voting with management on an environment or against management on an environmental issue. Yeah. It's insane. It's insanity.
And BlackRock knows that Tennessee and the AG is already looking for more political theater too. So
any political theory you can get, if BlackRock contravenes this agreement, they'd love for them to do that so they can say, BlackRock, we're holding BlackRock accountable for being woke. It's this is why you don't cower. This is why you don't hide. You don't settle. You don't there's no winning.
Larry Fink is busy buying and selling crypto now, so I don't think he cares anymore. What's your score on this one?
My score on this is a 0. This
low.
is a 0.
Yeah,
what are you doing? Tennessee didn't drop the suit. They won the political theater, and you bent the knee like a fucking Mo.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help my scores, but I did enjoy your answer up until the last bit, which you're getting a little out of control and angry. All right. The Department of Justice sues Walgreens, alleging it knowingly filled millions of prescriptions that lacked legitimate medical purposes. Ooh, that doesn't sound good out of Stefano Pessina there. Filling millions of prescriptions that lacked legitimate medical purposes.
I love that for Stefano Pessina. I'm confused about which Department of Justice. The U.S. Department of Justice, the one that
maybe it was the former one. Was it was it Biden's?
Was
this
Biden?
Good question.
Didn't everybody quit? And anybody who does any investigations of anyone?
It's a good point. Yeah.
So, but I like it. It's a 7. I love.
All right.
Maybe Stefano Pessina is actually named in the lawsuit.
I would think he has to be. He controls the entire company. Including, not that he controls his wife, but his wife is the COO, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
GM, General Motors, cannot sell your location data for the next 5 years. That's a settlement based on the fact that they were selling your data for the last, I think it's 15 years or whatever the number is. But that's the settlement.
Everyone, why is GM held to a different standard than Mark Zuckerberg? That guy sells everything you've ever told him.
My understanding is because they didn't disclose that they were doing it, whereas Zuckerberg Graham, when you sign on the first time and you don't read all the terms of engagement, what do they call them? What are all those things called? Terms? Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you agree to the fact.
T's and C's.
You agree to that fact initially by not actually reading through it, whereas GM didn't even take that step. So the whole thing is a bit daft. I agree.
It's so stupid. I'm giving this it's a 5 because I'm glad they can't sell my location data, but I don't want anyone to have it.
You don't even own a GM, do you?
No, of course not.
Okay. California bans insurance policy cancellations in boost to property owners. The insurance industry prepares for record-breaking losses. So, yeah, you heard a lot of stories coming out of the fire-torn California that even in some cases, like only months before the fires, that insurance companies were canceling people's home policies.
I know we're supposed to hate that, but to me, it's one thing. Like medical insurance, like it seems like one thing. Property insurance seems like another. The fact that you live in a desert that's wildfire prone and you don't.
Interesting perspective. Yeah, I might actually agree with you, even though at first I thought you were being a jerk. But
no, I think the reality is like. If I said you lived on the beach and it was flood prone and your house had been flooded 4 times.
Yeah. Like that. Okay. That example is the very thing that occurs all the time. I live on the coast of Maine. This is the thing that happens all the time. Rich people come often from out of state. They put up these monstrosities right on the coast. Big storms, nor'easters, hurricanes come and wipe them out, and we're supposed to feel sorry for them. We agree. We don't want the insurance company to cover these policies in the first place. You should not be building there.
Right. I think insurance companies are literally doing their job. If you can't get insurance for a thing where you live, that suggests that maybe you shouldn't be there because the risk is very high.
It's an interesting perspective. I heard the other day that the Los Angeles area was getting its first rain in like 9 months. And my first reaction to that is, why do people live there? How is it possible? No, really, like, I know it's a very simplistic reaction, but how, Matt? How do people live in a place that gets no rain? It's crazy to me.
No, I'm with you. I agree.
So what's your score here?
My score here is it's a 3.
Not what
I know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I know they're trying to protect people who can't afford it without insurance, right?
You talking me into that. Well,
I don't feel like it's good.
They haven't voted it on it yet, but they've already submitted it. California considers letting wildfire victims sue oil companies for damages.
That one's going to be hard to prove.
Exxon likes to sue places like Arjuna.
I love it. I think we should.
Yeah.
I would love to sue the oil companies for everything. Like
How about suing them for suing Arjuna? Can we do that?
Now we're talking. I'm going to give this one a 6 just because for entertainment value. It won't work, but I like the entertaining.
Let's try to end this show. I'm guessing it's been about 17 hours. Let's end with a DEI union speed round.
Ooh.
It's a DEI union speed round.
Union
Here we go.
Speed round.
Whole Foods workers in Philadelphia vote to form Amazon-owned grocery stores' first union. That's the headline. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was the case. First, I mean, what are they waiting for? I don't go to Whole Foods anymore, really, but since Amazon bought it, Matt, the workers do seem a lot more depressed. They used to have a bit of a glow like the workers at Trader Joe's have, but now they just look depressed at Whole Foods. So
isn't
I'm
like the most
this is the first one.
Organic, crunchy thing you can do to form a union? Just like they should all do that. Yeah, 10.
Jamie Dimon is doubling down on J.P. Morgan's DEI work as a conservative group targets Wall Street. Jamie says, "Bring them on."
Yeah, 10. Thank you, Jamie, for saying something I want to hear.
Speaking of DEI companies, Costco union representing 18,000 workers authorizes nationwide strike.
Union, you morons, that in this case, Costco is the one who's for like diversity and inclusion and trying to
pro DEI.
Like, so striking is like 10 minutes after they're fighting against like caving on DEI. Now if you're Costco, you're union, like,
frankly,
oh great. So now you guys hate us and they hate us. Well then fuck all y'all. Like, it's not my favorite look. So I'm going to give it a 5.
And finally, on the good game, a mega good game for January 28th, 2025. We haven't done a good game in a long time, and I needed to feel better about life. Let's end on this one. Delta. This one surprises me. Delta Airlines, of all companies, doubles down on DEI ESG policies. So, I mean, what the hell? How'd that happen?
Delta was according to us in our other show,
Yeah.
the Proxy Countdown from last year, Delta is the best of the worst industry in the world.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I like this. I'm going to give it a 9. I like it.
All right. Ending on a high note. Before we wrap up, I'll tell you that your score for the week is your score is always about the same, but it's a 5.5, a 6. You're always in that range. Here's the last 4 scores.
There it is.
Ready? The last 4 scores: 5.5, 5.9, 5.4, 5.6. Matt, you're remarkably consistent, which is what you really want out of an analyst hole. You want consistency.
That's all I can give you. Consistency. That's the name of the game. That's the good game. There was some good in the good game. I'm surprised. I like some of it. That's Hazelnut Rollis. I'm your analyst hole, Matt Miscardi. We are Free Float. We'll be back on Friday. We're going to have a double header. We got 2 shows I think we're going to do on Friday because Damien is out of pocket for a little while. So until then, goodbye.